When federal judge Sarah Williams saw LeBron James walk into her courtroom, she thought she'd make quick work of this ignorant athlete, but what happened next would not only destroy her career, but change America's view of athlete intelligence forever. Welcome to Secret Court Stories. Today I'm sharing an incredible tale that shows no one should ever be underestimated in the face of justice. Do you think courts really treat people fairly? Have you or people around you ever experienced injustice? You can write in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss these powerful stories. The marble corridors of the federal courthouse had an unusual tension that morning. Judge Sarah Williams had never presided over such a high-profile case in her 30-year career. The tax evasion case against LeBron James's charity foundation had drawn all of America's attention to the courtroom. Williams's thoughts revealed everything. These celebrity athletes think they're so smart. Today I'll show them the truth, she thought. Williams was one of the federal system's harshest judges, particularly ruthless toward celebrity defendants. She viewed athletes as nothing more than people with muscle and no brains. When the courtroom doors opened, LeBron James entered. His clean navy blue suit, the leather briefcase in his hand, and his confident posture were striking. His lawyer followed behind him, but LeBron appeared as if he needed no help at all. The gallery was completely packed. LeBron Court was trending on social media. When Williams looked at LeBron, there was a mocking glint in her eyes. She saw only another ignorant celebrity before her. The first blow came from Williams. She used a mocking tone, welcoming him to federal court and hoping the proceedings wouldn't be too complex for him. LeBron calmly stood up and respectfully stated that he was honored to be in the federal court system. Williams narrowed her eyes. This was a more mature response than expected, but the real shock was just beginning. Williams accelerated her attack. She listed the serious charges LeBron faced one by one: tax evasion, financial misconduct, violation of federal laws. Then she asked that condescending question, questioning whether he had the capacity to understand these technical matters. Oh, sounds rose from the gallery. Journalists grabbed their pens. Williams had just openly accused LeBron of lacking intelligence. Emotional peak. LeBron's lawyer wanted to jump up, but LeBron raised his hand to stop him. The expression that crossed LeBron's face at that moment, it was as if a moment he'd been waiting for years had arrived. LeBron's response would freeze the courtroom. He explained that he absolutely understood the complexity of federal tax laws and was quite familiar with the obligations of organizations operating under Section 501(c)(3) of the Internal Revenue Code. Williams's eyebrows furrowed. Was this just luck? She said another technical trap, asking if he knew the rules governing a charity's relationship with political action committees. This question could challenge even experienced lawyers. Williams hoped LeBron would start stammering, desperately looking to his lawyer for help. But LeBron's answer shocked everyone. He detailed that organizations operating under Internal Revenue Code 501(c)(3) were prohibited from direct financial cooperation with political action committees, and that this rule was further clarified by the 2002 Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act following the McConnell vs. FEC case. Williams's face turned pale white. This was an extremely detailed, professional analysis with cited sources. Tell me in the comments, if you were in Williams's position, what would you have felt? The aftermath of LeBron's legal demonstration created an electric tension that seemed to charge the very air in the federal courtroom. Judge Williams, her confidence now visibly shaken, realized she needed a different strategy entirely. If federal tax law had proven to be LeBron's strength rather than his weakness, she would have to venture into territory where no basketball player could possibly have expertise. Williams made a calculated decision to pivot toward local municipal regulations, specifically the labyrinthine zoning laws that govern Detroit's urban development projects. Detroit's municipal code was notoriously complex, a legal maze that had evolved through decades of economic upheaval, urban planning challenges, and bureaucratic layering. Even seasoned municipal attorneys often found themselves overwhelmed by the intricate web of regulations, exceptions, and overlapping jurisdictions that governed development in the Motor City. With renewed confidence, Williams began her attack on what she assumed would be LeBron's most vulnerable flank: She referenced specific sections of Detroit's zoning ordinances, demanded explanations of variance procedures, and challenged LeBron to detail the environmental impact assessment requirements that supposedly governed his foundation's school renovation projects. Her tone carried the satisfaction of a predator finally cornering its prey. But LeBron's response was already forming before Williams had finished her questions. His hand moved deliberately toward his leather briefcase, and what emerged would shatter every assumption in the courtroom. The folder he withdrew was not just thick, it was a masterwork of legal organization that would have impressed veteran municipal attorneys. This wasn't a collection of documents hastily assembled by legal assistants. The folder contained hundreds of pages of meticulously organized research, color-coded sections for different regulatory categories, cross-referenced appendices linking federal and local requirements, detailed compliance charts, and page after page of handwritten notes and margins that revealed deep engagement with the material. As LeBron opened the folder, the courtroom could see the extent of his preparation. Highlighted passages marked critical regulatory language. Sticky notes provided cross-references to related ordinances. Hand-drawn diagrams illustrated the relationships between different approval processes. This was the work of someone who had not merely studied Detroit's municipal code, but had mastered it. LeBron began to speak, and his words revealed expertise that stunned even the legal professionals in attendance. He cited Detroit Municipal Code, Section 61-12-124 regarding educational facility zoning classifications, explaining not just the basic requirements, but the historical context that had shaped these regulations following Detroit's educational crisis of the early 2000s. He detailed the variance procedures outlined in Section 61-12-130, but went further to explain how his foundation had worked proactively with city planners to exceed minimum requirements and create model procedures for future educational developments. He referenced the environmental impact assessment protocols established under Section 61-14-200. Then described the comprehensive environmental studies his foundation had commissioned, going far beyond legal minimums to ensure community safety and environmental protection. But LeBron didn't stop with mere regulatory compliance. He explained how his foundation had revolutionized the community engagement process, establishing new standards for resident input and participation that had since been adopted as best practices by other developers. He described traffic impact studies, utility infrastructure assessments, and educational programming partnerships that demonstrated a level of community investment that transcended simple legal obligations. Williams's shock was transforming into something approaching panic. Her voice rose as she demanded explanations that sounded increasingly like accusations. Where had LeBron obtained such detailed municipal documents? Where had LeBron obtained such detailed municipal documents? Which law firm had conducted this extensive research? What team of experts was really behind this elaborate legal preparation? The questions came in rapid succession, each one revealing Williams's growing desperation to find some external explanation for what she was witnessing. The possibility that LeBron had personally mastered this complex legal landscape seemed to challenge everything she believed about intelligence, preparation, and the relationship between athletic ability and intellectual capacity. LeBron's response came with a calm smile that somehow managed to convey both humility and quiet triumph. His explanation would not only answer Williams's specific questions, but would reveal a level of personal commitment that redefined what it meant to be a community leader in modern America. Every document in his possession, LeBron explained, was the result of his own personal research and study. For months before beginning any Detroit project, he'd spent countless hours in the city's municipal offices, personally requesting copies of relevant ordinances and regulations. He had attended public city planning meetings not as a celebrity observer, but as an engaged citizen seeking to understand the democratic processes that governed urban development. LeBron described winter evenings spent in Detroit's public libraries, studying municipal code amendments and regulatory updates. He talked about Saturday mornings at community meetings, listening to residents discuss their concerns and aspirations for neighborhood development. He detailed his relationships with city planners, environmental consultants, and community leaders, relationships built not on his celebrity status, but on his genuine commitment to understanding every aspect of responsible urban development. The revelation that LeBron had personally navigated Detroit's bureaucratic maze sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Williams's voice trembled with disbelief and mounting anger as she declared his claims impossible. Her phrase, "You're just a basketball player," escaped her lips with such venom that it exposed the full depth of her prejudice and intellectual arrogance. That phrase would become infamous because LeBron's response would redefine not just this legal proceeding, but public understanding of what professional athletes could achieve when they committed themselves to intellectual pursuits. Standing with the dignity that had characterized his entire courtroom appearance, LeBron began to reveal a story that had remained hidden from public view for over a decade. His voice carried the weight of years of preparation for this exact moment. Not the legal charges, but the opportunity to demonstrate that excellence in athletics and excellence in academics were not mutually exclusive. For 12 years, LeBron revealed, while sports media and fans had focused exclusively on his basketball achievements, he had been pursuing a completely parallel educational journey. Every night after grueling training sessions, when his body demanded rest and recovery, LeBron had instead opened law books, policy journals, and constitutional scholarship. The courtroom fell into absolute silence as LeBron described his academic journey. He had enrolled in evening courses at the University of Akron, sitting alongside traditional students in constitutional law and public policy seminars. Despite the strange looks and whispered conversations when other students recognized him, LeBron had insisted on being evaluated solely on the merit of his academic work. His educational pursuit had expanded to include Harvard Law School's comprehensive online program, where he had participated in virtual seminars with distinguished legal scholars from around the world. He had submitted papers that were graded anonymously, without any consideration of his celebrity status. He had engaged in legal research that challenged him intellectually in ways that even professional basketball, with all its complexity and pressure, had never approached. The motivation behind this secret education, LeBron explained, grew from his increasing understanding that creating lasting change in his community required more than financial resources or celebrity influence. It demanded deep knowledge of the legal, regulatory, and policy frameworks that governed American society, the systems that could either enable or prevent meaningful progress in education, economic development, and social justice. Then came the moment that would be replayed on news broadcasts and analyzed in academic journals for years to come. From his briefcase, LeBron withdrew a document that represented the culmination of years of academic dedication. The Harvard Law School paralegal certificate, earned with high distinction, bore his name alongside the university's prestigious seal and the signatures of faculty members who had evaluated his work based purely on its merit. The courtroom erupted in a chaos of applause, shouting, and frantic journalistic activity. The hashtag #LeBron Lawyer exploded across social media platforms as millions of Americans grappled with this complete redefinition of athletic achievement. Camera phones appeared throughout the gallery despite strict courtroom prohibitions, as spectators recognized they were witnessing a moment that would reshape public discourse about intelligence, education, and professional sports. Williams sat behind her bench in stunned silence, her face reflecting the complete collapse of her worldview. The trap she had constructed with such confidence had not only failed, it had spectacularly reversed, exposing her own prejudices and judicial misconduct to a watching nation. But the biggest revelation was still to come. As the courtroom slowly quieted from the chaos of LeBron's academic revelations, he reached into his briefcase once more. But what emerged this time was something far more personal and emotionally powerful than any legal document or academic credential. It was an old, weathered copy of the United States Constitution, its pages yellowed with age and edges softened by decades of careful handling. This wasn't a pristine legal reference book or a ceremonial copy preserved for special occasions. Every aspect of this Constitution told a story of lived experience. Marginalia in faded ink, highlighted passages, worn binding that spoke of countless readings. As LeBron held it with obvious reverence, the courtroom seemed to sense they were in the presence of something sacred, not just legally, but personally and historically. When LeBron began to speak about the document's origins, his voice took on a different quality entirely. This Constitution, he explained with evident emotion, had belonged to his grandmother, Frida James, a woman whose courage, wisdom, and unwavering faith in American ideals had shaped not only LeBron's character, but his entire understanding of justice, equality, and civic responsibility. During the most dangerous years of the civil rights movement in 1960s Alabama, Frida James had carried this Constitution to voter registration drives, where she faced threats and intimidation from officials determined to deny her basic democratic rights. She had clutched it during peaceful protests where police dogs and fire hoses were turned on American citizens seeking equality. She had read from its passages to inspire fellow activists who wondered whether America's founding promises would ever truly apply to them. LeBron's voice carried a slight tremor as he recounted the pivotal moment when, at age 10, his grandmother had placed this Constitution in his small hands. Her words had been simple but profound. "Baby, you read this book. You understand every word in it, and you never ever forget that these promises belong to you too, no matter what anybody tries to tell you." From that night forward, LeBron revealed, he had read from this Constitution every single evening, not as an abstract academic exercise, but as a young black man in America seeking to understand the promises his country had made and how those promises applied to his life, his community, and his responsibility as a citizen. The personal weight of this ritual had shaped everything about LeBron's approach to his career, his wealth, and his public platform. The phrase, "promote the general welfare," had become his foundation's mission statement. The commitment to establish justice had driven his secret pursuit of legal education. The promise to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity motivated his determination to create opportunities for children who faced the same challenges he had once confronted. Williams's voice was barely audible as she asked what this personal history had to do with the current legal proceedings. But LeBron was already opening the worn pages, and his response would fundamentally transform the nature of their confrontation. LeBron began to recite from memory, his voice carrying the cadence of someone who had internalized these words through years of nightly reflection. "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." These weren't just words to LeBron. They were a personal covenant between himself and his country. But now, standing in this federal courtroom, he was calling upon that covenant to hold the system accountable to its own promises. Looking directly at Judge Williams, LeBron posed a devastating question. Was equal protection under the law truly being applied in her courtroom? Williams declared that he was receiving equal treatment, but her obvious bias made the claim ring hollow. LeBron's follow-up was devastating. If equal protection was being applied, why was his foundation under scrutiny while corporations like Amazon, Google, and Facebook faced no similar investigations despite tax controversies? The courtroom erupted. LeBron had shifted from defendant to prosecutor. LeBron cited Federal Rules of Evidence 401. Disparate treatment constituted evidence of bias. His argument was unassailable. Williams had lost complete control. Her declaration that no one could lecture her about law revealed her arrogance. LeBron's response would be quoted for generations. "Your Honor, I'm not giving you a law lesson. I'm giving you a lesson in justice." But LeBron had one final revelation. From his briefcase, he withdrew his Juris Doctor diploma from Georgetown University Law Center. He was literally a licensed attorney. LeBron JD exploded on social media worldwide. At that moment, the courtroom doors burst open. FBI agents entered. "Judge Sarah Williams, you are under arrest for accepting bribes and conspiracy to obstruct justice." LeBron's case had been part of an FBI investigation to expose judicial corruption. As handcuffs clicked around Williams's wrists, LeBron delivered his final statement. Every American citizen deserved equal treatment under the law. Every American citizen deserved equal treatment under the law, and he would continue fighting to protect that right. That evening, LeBron whispered to his grandmother's Constitution, "Grandma Frida, I kept my word." Have you ever been underestimated? Drop your experiences in the comments below. Subscribe for daily courtroom stories and hit that like button. Tomorrow's story will shock you even more. Share this with someone who needs inspiration.